Welcome back to the OPL. We are heading into game number 3 very shortly. It is Direwolves versus Order. Order are back. It is. Yep. And Direwolves sound like... Thank you very much. Feyre in the chat when we were talking about shoes said, speaking of shoes, WTF is up with Knicks. Rusty gives me shit all the time about my shoes because that's what a white shoe looks like. And this was a white shoe. The thing about me is I wear shoes until they literally fall off my feet. I was in Paris and I had a pair of cons on and I was just walking through a Parisian market, as you do, and I stepped in a puddle and I stepped out of the puddle and my shoe stayed in the puddle. And I was like, oh God. And then I just looked around and just walked barefoot to the nearest shoe shop, bought the exact same pair of shoes and wore them until they fell off again.
You did a carbon.
I did.
In Paris.
There you go. Maybe
you went to Worlds.
Maybe that's his excuse.
You did it.
Maybe we're actually kindred spirits.
I see that and I'm like, why don't you have different shoes for broadcast?
Because I am, it's my brand. My brand is super unprofessional, but for some reason has information about the producer and cannot be fired. That is my brand. So I feel like I'm on brand. Now, speaking of brands.
Okay, where are we going with this? I get nervous when you do these hard pivots.
Up next, the final game today, is the Chiefs versus Legacy.
Okay.
Yes.
I came in after the rivalry had been established.
Same for me, yeah.
And
obviously.
I had always heard it being referred to as a nickname that goes along with a famous rivalry between two La Liga teams.
Yes.
So El Clasico is the nickname for a tournament. Anytime Real Madrid and Barcelona have a game.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
A game of what, Nick?
A game of football.
I think we could call it soccer.
Football.
It's football, mate.
I'm pretty confident we can call
pretty
it
sure it's
soccer.
football.
I'm pretty certain.
I'm pretty sure if you look it up in the dictionary, it's soccer.
This is a 2-2.
Pretty sure it's football.
Thank you very much. So, I was like, oh, right, okay, El Clasico is what we've named this. But then I always thought that it was E Clasico.
No, it's OPL Clasico.
Yeah.
So, that's what I was told then. Because I was like, E Clasico makes sense because it's esports, E Clasico.
Yeah.
You wouldn't call it El Clasico. And I looked it up. And then there were some articles written about it that called it El Clasico. And then there were some that called it E Clasico.
Yeah.
And then there were some that called it OPL Clasico.
That is the only name for it.
And then it's also called the E Classic OPL, according to some people in the building. And then Chiefs hashtagged it today as hashtag OCE El Clasico.
Well, OPL Clasico is also acceptable.
There needs to be a decision.
So
on this.
what I would say it is if you write it El Clasico, it should have the open parentheses, is that what it's called?
Yep.
Beforehand, to show that it's a shortened version of OPL Clasico. But it was originally dubbed by Atlas as OPL Clasico. He's the creator. He's the father of the OPL Clasico.
OPL Clasico.
And it is definitely the OPL Clasico. If you call it El Clasico, I expect a parentheses at the start of the L.
You can't call it El Clasico though, because El Clasico is a thing.
But that's why it's the OPL Clasico.
OPL
It's just been
Clasico.
shorthanded because that it's the rivalry, just like that is the
It would be like,
rivalry.
imagine a word.
Yeah.
I'll just pull out a normal word, Pentanet. Imagine if you had to add something on top of Pentanet every time you said it. It would get really frustrating for the broadcasting. So it is El Clasico.
Yep.
It is OPL Clasico, but sometimes you can drop the OPL for, convenience sake.
Back when we named this, we didn't really know what to call it until we stumbled upon Atlas saying OPL Clasico, and we're like, that's the one. Because we went through 20 iterations of what do we call the rivalry? What are all the rivalries? What's in Australia where you've got your Anzac Days, you've got your, et ceteras, et ceteras.
For a while, we awkwardly did call it the Anzac Day of the OPL, which was once again much too long.
And also refers to a war as opposed to...
No, because
Anzac
Anzac
Day
Day is Collingwood versus Essendon.
Oh,
If you were Melburnian, you would understand it.
Yeah, no, I only watch football.
Piss off.
I'll play that one.
Osprey LA in the chat says, can we just start the game? This is awful. No, I haven't made a final understanding.
I'm just sitting quiet. There's nothing to add
So
to
it's
this discussion.
OPL Clasico. How do we feel about some people in the building telling me that it's Classic OPL?
Well, there are those that call it the OPL Clasico, and then there are those that are wrong.
Yeah. Oh, right.
There it is.
I agree with Rusty on this one. And obviously, It doesn't even have to be Chiefs versus Legacy. So this is the thing about it, and this is why it's so strange right now, because the OPL Classico was Spooks, Swiffer, Swiper versus Carbon. Like, it was just, it was Carbon on one side, and then the trio of Muppets on the other side. And the trio of Muppets got to change people. They even stole people like Ejim, who was like, quite like, have you seen the episode of Game of Thrones, The Red Wedding?
Yes.
Like, that was Ejim in like 2015.
Wait, which one?
Like, whoever started the stabbing.
Right, okay.
Because like, he literally lost to them in Split 1. And then like, changed teams.
Yeah.
Like, he was like, at 2 Carbon, you're not educated, so you probably don't get that. But then, like, I was looking at Twitch chat.
Probably not educated.
Because I was like, I'm educated enough to know that's not Game of Thrones.
So he swapped. Rage was brought in from Direwolves, but it was just always against Carbon. So now when it's Chiefs versus Legacy, because it was Immunity versus Avantgarde essentially when it started. Now that it's Chiefs versus Legacy and none of them are involved, I do feel kind of weird about it, but it is OPL Classico still.
It is OPL Classico. The man has spoken. Also spoken Osprey LA, who said, "Okay, I didn't know they read chat. Now I feel bad. Never mind. Sorry." Even if I didn't read
First person
it,
to apologize.
but even if I didn't read it, let's just not say mean things about people on the internet. Wouldn't that just make the world a better place, Jake?
Please don't. I'll get in trouble.
Finally, before we get into the final game, because they are walking into the rooms now, you guys have really stepped up when it comes to the submissions for the painting competition.
And 90% of them are not paintable.
No, they're paintable. They're not broadcastable. We've got some fantastic submissions. I've showed Jake this. I just want to show you guys.
Okay, for the
I
reaction.
very much cannot show you guys. But
This is what Nick's painted.
But this is what I would like to paint.
That's some cool shorts.
I like that. Hey, that's confidence.
The old skin-colored shorts, if you know what I mean.
I have never seen
Man's got
sunburn that intense and cheeks that clench. That's all I'm going to say. So please continue to send in your submissions. We would love to paint you and make you a part of the broadcast.
Oh, no.
Send in your submissions on Twitter using the hashtag IamOPL, at NickBoy.
If I hit this draft, it is because of this segment. That's all I'm saying.
Take this power and use it. Or send it to us, nickboy@gmail.com. We're picking next week. Juves, you're going to be here, and I know you're watching right now. Big shout out to you. Can't wait to see you next week and to be part of the show. All right. We must move on to Game 3. Direwolves. Order. Let's get the Direwolves lineup. Let's get Jake out of here. Rusty.
Direwolves, pretty much the standard lineup today. No changes from them, even though we have seen some in the past. It is going to be Kai as the coach, Chippy's in top lane, Mir in the jungle, Shock mid, Vital and Decoy are your bottom lane. No Cupcake today.
No Cupcake. And look how happy Decoy is.
He's very happy.
He's like, I'm back. I'm back. You can't do anything.
Decoy's got a problem when he takes photos that his eyes close as his smile widens.
It's like, it's too big a smile. It pushes the skin up.
Yeah.
He's a very nice boy. How do we feel about Direwolves' chances against Order, who are obviously coming up a win from game 1?
I brought it up in the game when we saw Order play before, and I think this is a pretty close affair. I'm definitely looking towards the bottom lane of Vital to really put out a stellar performance. He's showcased that he's a very strong AD carry if the resources are there for him to execute with. So I think if they draft the comp, one, if he gets a champion that can allow him to skill express, and then two, if they can sort of round a comp around him to find those values, then I think they should have a pretty good chance. Order obviously slightly warmed up from that game 1, but as you said, they're able to reset. So I think really at this stage, it's a coin flip.
Well, let's take a look at those warm boys. This is Order. Skim.
Same again. So we do have Swiper in the top lane. Fantastic set performance earlier today. Only running it down as the Olaf and running it down in a good fashion, mind you. Harry playing the mid. Rare 7 and Ayla in bottom lane. Great performance so far. Really showcased a strong performance. Really, there's no other way to describe it coming into this game here, which is a highly looked after matchup.
Yeah, still some shakiness in the mid game, however, that Gravitas were looking to exploit. So maybe need to shore that one up because they still needed to win a 4v5 to win the game, all things considered.
That is true. And Rare just occasionally does things where you just go, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Stick with the team.
Yep.
Go back home. Stay with the boys. Come on. You're making everybody nervous. But we shouldn't get too nervous because it's time for Game 3. Let's get over this short break.
the very third game of the day. You're looking at that. This matchup before both teams came into it were both sitting at 3-3. So I talk about coin flips in that regard. You look at statistics, both averaging out basically the same amount of damage per minute as a team, getting the same amount of goals, able to achieve, for the most part, the same amount of kills. So it's going to really come down to one player in particular or one engagement really sort of dictating the tempo and then looking to hold on to it and go with it.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Vital, and I think that's a good place to look at. Statistically, he's been very consistent in a good way. So he's always going to be someone that I think is an achiever. For me, I actually look at Mir. I think that Mir is the difference maker for the side of Direwolves. His early impact, he's been known as a least in one trick, but he's not. He has Jarvan. But that early impact can make the difference here for the side of Direwolves, get them leads. And if they get leads, people like Shock and Chippies are very good at closing out those games. Whereas on the other side, we just saw a Spirit Visage only running around on Olaf with Ayla's Yuumi supporting him, which is very cheeky, I might add. And they were all smiles after the game, saying what a great experience that was. As they were even able to win number mismatch team fights to get those victories. So I look at the early game here and I say this will mean the most.
Well, the Direwolves must have something up their sleeve here to leave Aphelios open, where he still has not been changed. Still on that ever so strong threat, if you will, being locked in as a first pick. And why wouldn't you? The response so far, Kaiser and Leona, definitely something up in their motion.
Yeah, well, I mean, what does Aphelios do? Lots of damage. What does Aphelios not have? Mobility. Leona. There you go. That's the answer. Straight away, no hesitation on top of him. Now they've gone for a Camille as well with it. One of the Chippy special champions. They've got a lot of kill threat. They can take down the carries of Order very successfully already through the early stages of this draft. However, that is a blind pick Camille into top lane where they could pick whatever they would like in response. So you'll have to see the bans going into Chippy's lane to make his life, I want to say, a little bit better.
Definitely one of the players to watch out for. As the ban comes across onto that Jarvan, as you highlighted now, a lot of those S-tier junglers removed. Olaf at least locked in. Jarvan removed away. Top lane bans, as you highlight, also removed. Poppy and Renekton and gone from the board.
You know what I would like here, Skibby?
For who?
I'm going to say, for Order, I'm going to say the chances are low, but I think this is the makings of an Alawi game for Swiper. He could do something, you know, standard like your Gangplank, but Swiper's not that type of player. He's got his Kleds, you know, he's got his champions that only he plays. And I think against the Leona Camille, this could be, as long as you've got kill threat onto that Kai'Sa, which they do already, could be one of those Alawi games, you know? Just throwing it out there in the hopes that he considers it. Because last time I said a champion, they hovered it.
Yeah, that's because Order's listening in. Specifically Spawn.
We name a champion now, we'll see if Spawn's listening. Ready? Braum.
Rek'Sai!
Nah, they're not. Rek'Sai, they've got a jungler locked in.
I just want to see random things happen. We can actually hear him laughing from this room to the next where they're playing. So they must be in high spirits. They must be having a good time.
Of course.
He's going to be Dinar though.
Yeah, Nar going to be locked in here. Knows the matchup into the Camille. Excited to see this one play out. Swiper is a known Nar player of old. I remember the 2016 OPL finals. He slaughtered Legacy with it. Wait for the last pick here.
Got a fair bit of displacement now with the Alistair locked in and Ayla smiling. I do like what I'm seeing so far. You talk about mobility, or you talk about gap closing potentials for them to get on top of the Aphelios. Well, they've responded with 4 crucial picks that can really deny that.
You never know. Lux is good into Zoe. That's been historically the pick. Or at least the matchup for the Lux to be seen. So you never know with someone like Shock. If that's going to come out, can play every champion, but that's not going to be where they end up. They have gone for the Rise this time. They round out their composition with another split push threat, some good consistent damage output in the way of magic damage as well. This opens up Vital's build. He can do whatever he wants now to optimize his own damage output. And now Direwolves, they've built themselves with it's a 1-3-1 composition, but a very peculiar one, as the 3 likes to have a bit of a biff, loves a bit of an engage. And on the opposing side, I feel like they're quite variable in where they could play. The world's their oyster in terms of play style here for Order, but they're not going to have the teleports to match a hard 1-3-1 force from the side of Direwolves. It is much more about that team fight centric 1-4 style where they'll go for those picks. So I'll be very excited to see how this draft actually plays out.
Talk about the engage that Direwolves have, especially with that 3-man. Quite scary what they're going to be going into against Order with the amount of CC they have. They will almost welcome that engage and say, you better be sure that you run these numbers, crunch the statistics, because once you're in, we are not going to let you get out, and we will find those kills. So the burden of execution definitely feels like it's a lot harder for Direwolves from an initial perspective of what we're seeing here. Execution obviously going to be the key factor to how they play the map, how they play those lanes, and how much of a lead they can achieve to get those important power spikes.
Yeah, because those power spikes are the game-winning feature here, specifically for a side like Direwolves. You Trinity forced him at spike for the Camille on Chippies. Shock, wanting to get as many items as you can with each completed item, he gets stronger and more of a threat in the side lanes as well. And also, most interestingly, the damage mix that comes from both of those mentioned champions. Swiper is just going to have to build raw health, presumably for the most part, and if he builds any armor, they swap Shock to that lane, and he one-hit Swiper in mini form. So there is a lot of potential there for Direwolves with their splitting, with their 1-3-1 focus. My concern comes back to the point I mentioned before with how the 3 holds on. And you've got a Zoe Bubble, you've got an Elise Cocoon, you've got the Aphelios with everything that he has, the Gravitum specifically for locking people down, and Ayla, who is notoriously good on this Alistar with getting flanks, making plays happen, you know, using the Hex Flash when available. So they can force fights, they can force engages. I think objectives is going to be the major point of focus for them.
I think it's always so satisfying as well watching a good Alistar play, understanding their ability to not only force engages but peel, but also juggle the numbers with their ability to tower dive. I mean, you talk about the ability for Ayla to tower dive, only can obviously jump in there as well. So it's going to be a question of, you know, will they let the game get out of hand where a 4-1 split reigns supreme, or are they going to be really bringing it to the Direwolves and showcasing, hey, if you want to get in, we can do exactly the same just to you instead. But as we get ourselves ready for this one, we do have one of the coaches on standby. It's Kai from Direwolves. Thanks again for joining us. This time no Spawn though, so maybe a different matchup.
I'm pretty familiar with Rusty, so I think we'll be all right.
Talk to me about this draft. Obviously, Rusty highlighted before with those side laners especially, hybrid in both physical and magic. How much of a target would you say, if that even was the idea behind it, was that towards Swiper and making his life harder?
Like, to a degree, like, there's like a very famous rivalry between Swiper and Chippies. They play off for like this Titan shirt. It's a really cool thing. So I really wanted to see if I could get him that. He's also just a fantastic Camille. And then the rest just kind of came through like, this is a team we scrim the most. We have a lot of respect for them. So we felt like we had a good read. And they definitely have a good read on us too. So we just went for comp again. We went for good lanes. We've got some good plays, hopefully, that'll be seen too. Don't want to speak too early on that. So yeah, you'll see. You'll see the reason behind this comp pretty quickly.
You've just watched Order play a game earlier today as well. Was there any real learnings that you had from that game, or did you just come into this one with the set plan and nothing really changed in your plan?
Nothing really changed. Like, you obviously watch it and you go, oh, is there something here that could be against us? But not really. Like, we've pretty much seen a lot of what these people do, so we don't really have to worry about it. We knew what was going to happen.
Vard having a good time. I highlighted how much of an impact he's been on your team since joining. Only 17 years old. Has he found the growing pains, I suppose, as not only being a Korean import, but being quite young coming to Australia? Has that been a bit of a burden, if you will, or has he gelled into the team quite quickly?
It has been like a bit of a growing process for us all, and it's actually kind of rallied the team, especially recently with it. So like, there's always that hard point. Like, a bit of my history as well was when I was young, I went over to play sports in Japan. I was there for 2-3 years. It was really hard for me, so I've got that understanding of him, and now it's just kind of stage nerves. And once you actually see this kid play, and they've all seen it in scrims and whatnot, he's actually a freak, and this is his pick that he is ridiculous on. And as the AD carry meta goes from this Aphelios MF kind of meta that's like no skill back into skill AD carries, you'll start really seeing it. You kind of saw it last week on his Ezreal.
And he seems like, in my limited exposure to him, a very hyperactive type of player, a big talker when he was up there watching his team play earlier. Does that come through in his stage comms? Is he a big loud mouth talking to the team? Or
he's either dead quiet if we're not doing well, or he is obnoxiously noisy when winning, and it's a lovely energy, and it's kind of offset really well by Miru, which is kind of almost the opposite of that in many ways. So they work really well together, and they have such a beautiful friendship between them and Chippies. Chippies, like, they both love Chippies, so you should see it. If he starts getting fed, you just watch his cam, it'll be hilarious.
Beautiful. Thank you, as always, for the insight. We'll look forward to seeing how this plan all comes online, and good luck.
Much.
Skill expression is what I mentioned at the start of this draft, and that's what he mentioned as well. Going to play the Kaiser, going to showcase what he can do with that one. You saw an engage in mid lane there, only already forcing out that pressure. Ooh. Level 2, forcing out a very early flash from Shock as Mir jumps in, says hello.
Yeah, he can also threaten the Raptors there if he would like, but Scuttlecrab is going to be his first and foremost focus. So after the little early game skirmishes we've seen back and forth, just movements around the map, we saw very aggressive early moves here with Shock having to flash away. Just control in mid lane is the only real thing that has come from this, compared to the control in the jungle that Mir was able to get from it. So nothing really doing. Opportunity number 2 presents itself, however, as Shock has no summoner spells available. Only will always try and repeat gank. It's League of Legends 101, and everyone knows it, that if you force the summoner spells, you try and return to that lane to capitalize on the summoner spells. Otherwise, really, you gained nothing from that first play.
You burnt a cooldown, caused the threat, and you weren't able to capitalize on it when the timing was there. Did try and go for an invade, but as revealed by the vision, we'll find that there are no camps to claim at this stage, so both will go back to base. We'll have the advantage in that regard, falling a fair bit down in that CS department in terms of camp clearance, but we'll have some control wards to his name to try and stem the mobility, if you will, that Mir is able to emit.
Yeah, Mir also yet to reset compared to that of Only, so there'll be a slight, return in some farm going back into the hands of Only. We'll explore that once again. Mir's going to have a very nice first recall here, actually. Gets the longsword and a control ward, so the perfect situation for this Lee Sin as the early game pans out. He is now, once again, we talked about Vital, the things that he could do. We still look towards Mir on his early game champions. He got what he was known as the one trick for in that Lee Sin. By, I believe, Babbitt in an interview at the start of the split. So, maps his oyster to make some stuff happen because it's quite important that he does. Again, to give Direwolves that win condition somewhere on the map.
So far, it is Auto with the priority, respecting the fact that Alistair is a pretty scary man. If he does find that combo, definitely can follow things up there with the Weapon Master, if he will. Didn't actually quite catch what Aphelios had online, and I'm sure that Spectator will be fixed coming into 10-4, I heard, so it might be a little bit easy to understand what is available and what can be used.
I mean, he was currently using the Gravity Cannon and the Flamethrower.
Oh, that makes sense then. Does not want to get locked in place with the root, but somebody in trouble right now is Harry, who's forced to burn both summoners, Cleanse and Flash, just to juke out the engage. Ayla just says hello! Flashes into the chickens!
Oh, Mir's just styling on them. Flashes the headbutt pole combo, ward hops away from Swiper's boomerang. Alistar flashed the wall from the looks of it to catch Shock, and in the moment that he flashes, Mir just comes in and claps them. Big plays from exactly the man that we said needed to have them.
Beautiful opening into this game so far. Finding that advantage, as we highlighted with the CS, with the item build as well. And now's a little skirmish it looked like on the map before, but let's talk about this replay first of all.
Let's not talk about the replay.
Let's hold it, because I've jinxed myself. It actually was something. And it's a first or second kill, sorry, in that top side of the map, because multiple members rotating on through, able to find chippies, that opening lane pressure, but Miru, he's huge, 2-0 so far. Yeah,
2 kills to his name, going to be a very big Lee Sin. Going to get 6, very much accelerated to that of his opponents. Those ranged minions unfortunately go missing, but the wave still crashes, and it was Shock that was up in top lane to secure themselves that kill. From the looks of it, using his ultimate to close some distance there. So they kill Swiper, they take him down, they've got a big Lee Sin. That is a finished jungle item to what is currently Only's components of the Machete and Talisman of the start of a jungle item. However, he will get the red buff against the Grain here. Gets back something for the side of Order.
Yeah, you can see the pathing of Mirror there. They did have the vision to spot out Harry coming in there to assist him to protect. So Mirror just going to adjust his rotation, go down to the bottom side of this map, look maybe towards bottom side, where level 6 is on the verge. Rare does have it, Vital very close to it.
Yeah, he's actually, at the moment, Mir is probably the strongest person on the map with his complete jungle item and being level 6. With the control ward for a ward hop as well, he can hit those insects, hit those kicks. In terms of where could he do that, Zoe's always a free target. No summoners there, no flash. So could always look at that. Swiper once again. Ayla doesn't have the flash either, but Rare has everything. So he's hard to kill.
3 control wards in this bottom side river, 1 on the ramp as well, so they're in complete control right now. Order only have a control in their try, playing very defensively. They're completely blind at this stage, just literally playing the lane and kind of trying to bait in only for a lane gank. Now they have an idea of where Lee Sin's at with the dragon on screen. Yeah, they know exactly where he is. He also hasn't shown himself to clear the wards, the control wards that are there, and now we find ourselves with a little skirmish. Nice dodge from Hayri, but only was stalking, so there was also a world where he tanks that one for the play. I think that risk was a little bit too high, so I think it's good that they dodged that one, as now this ward will finally get cleared. Vital forced to run up that river. As Order pushed himself out. If they really wanted to there, Ayla was level 5. He could have played with the advantage of the fact that they have 2 level 6s. Just not feeling confident. Teammate online. Rush on tabbies is the go so far for Big Swips. Yeah, this is also a point in the lane where Camille has kill threat, but usually only around the mini Gnar. A lot of top lane matchups with Gnar involved is like, you can kill him, he's mini, you can't kill him because he's mega run away. And that starts to shift actually as the game goes on. A lot of the time mini's just harder to kill because he's so quick. That's around level 9. So good opportunity for Chippies to have presence in lane, especially with the wave clear that comes from that teammate. Gets a free reset and a wave crashes, so Swiper is going to swap himself to the bottom side while Herald's up. Both bot lanes going to reset now. Even in CS for the most part. Both got BF swords in their hand, but the difference really comes from the fact that CD is online for Aphelios, working towards the mobility to utilize all those cooldowns he has with his Q, but yeah, raw damage really coming here from Vital. He wants the AoE, he wants this the lifesteal, he wants the components to sort of delay, if you will. Well, he's going to be going the Stormrazor build, yeah. So different item builds. Kai'Sa doesn't get a say in the matter, unfortunately. She needs the items she needs. We're actually at a point in the game where Chippies has not just the Sheen, but teleport advantage. So as they plant themselves down the bottom side, I would say Swiper is the man to watch. Direwolves can play aggressively right now. They can look for picks because they have the teleport advantage. But the second Swiper shows himself, which he is right now in mid, that's where things turn around as Harry was looking. Mir wants to kill him. Yeah, you can see Swiper came up through to mid lane. Does not have teleports. That's something to bear in mind. So he had to run up. Chippy's able to get all that CS for free, and quite rightfully so, because he does have teleports. So definitely playing around those summoners. Yeah, things now go back into favor of Direwolves with Swiper showing bottom lane once again. So Mir, the second Swiper shows himself, commits himself to the Rift Herald, and will kick this one off. In terms of what can Order do in response, nothing. Only's in base. They've reset, they've conceded. Direwolves played it patiently, they played it correctly, and so they've earned themselves a free objective. Shot resets, returns back to mid lane. That's going to be the Rift Herald, the first one of the game, picked up here at 11 minutes in. Vital just free farming top sides. And now they're going to go through into top try. Yeah, they want to clear things up and crash us in, yeah. Yeah, they want to crash the wave in and look to dive, but it's not going to happen because it'll take too long. Hayri's already cleared most of the wave, so it's not a wave you dive on by any means. You'd be waiting for a cannon. In saying that, again, patience is a virtue here for the side of Direwolves to make the correct play happen, not to force anything. They still have the TP advantage for another minute odd. There comes the Moonlight Vigil there, looking for the root. Ayla hungry, chaffing at the bit to try and jump in there and get that wombo. Flash does have to be burnt out here from Shock. Instant response to the top side now. 3 members commit. Miru there with the Rift Herald online. Gonna pop that straight away. 2 plates remain. Nissel just one-shot it. Members in range. Gold collected. Wants to engage, but they all back away. At first thought you're like, oh, they're gonna lose the plating gold for that, but they don't. Vital cheeky walk forward to make sure he gets it. So that's the first turret. And that's a pretty significant gold advantage to the Direwolves roster. Just again, patient, correct map play coming out of them to continue to garner those advantages. Small mistakes here and there though. Shock having to flash in mid lane, disrespecting the engage range of his opponent. But I think he'll take it at this stage, right? A flash for the fact that you find yourself a 2k lead, open up top side. I mean, sure, that's called perspective, Skippy. His mistake didn't get them the lead, however. His mistake was a mistake. Well, in the sense that, you know, if he had died, what would have been a win-win situation for them? Wouldn't have looked so desirable. But yeah. I take your perspective and I raise you.
What do you raise me? I'm absolutely stating just an objective fact.
I don't know. I'm just stating things.
Are you all right?
I'm playing Yuumi right now.
Yeah, you were definitely mentally checked out in that Yuumi game.
Yeah, had you second guessing, that's for sure. But hang on, Order. They're returning this time. Group test 5, going for this Drake. No chance to contest that one because the whole of Direwolves are spread around the map. They are playing the lanes. Or to find themselves with their very first objective.
And Swiper does what is basically the Swiper special, is they might be losing by 200 gold, they might be losing by 20,000 gold. When he feels that, he groups. He's with them at the objective, so there's no opportunity for the response there from Direwolves. They're not set up, they just disengage, they'll concede the Drake, and they'll just give Chippies a couple of extra waves in top lane. That was the trade there. Nicely done from the side of Order, though, to get the objective.
Order have no vision topside, so Chippy is on his own, free to do what he wants. All their vision is towards this Drake. Might see a priority here from Order to play around in those motions.
Yeah, Chippies doesn't know that, though. What he has is one control ward, so he knows when they're going to gank him. He doesn't know where they are. And that's really the dance that we're dealing with right now, as Direwolves threatening the dive on Swiper. They see their opponents in Order clear the vision, and they know it's not worth it. These opportunities, look-ins, these moments are good to do because every time they see their opponents on the map, Chippies gets another chunk on the wave.
There was no ward for him to even TP into had he wanted. And there was no need to take the risk, quite honestly, as you say, because he was just pushing in top for free.
Now the map actually switches towards the blue buff being an objective that Order want to protect. And you'll basically see Ayla just constantly roaming. He's got his Mobies, and he is the map control. It doesn't need to be vision. It just needs to be ensuring the safety of his teammates. So he goes over there, hits the scrying plant. In the meantime, while Only walks there to secure the blue buff for Hayri, because that's needed. Chippy's knows is happening, so he just backs away. And Swiper, knowing that his team is on the other side of the map, has been playing very respectfully up until that point, but Decoy doesn't pull the trigger.
Decoy is going to find that one as Swiper's forced to back away. Are we going to see a Solar Flare to open things up with? Doesn't seem so at this stage. Mega Nard does expire. Turret can be just picked up for free here.
I really feel like Decoy had an opportunity to throw a spell there. You can see Order on the other side of the map now in particular. Chippy's disengages and flashes, so it's still a good trade, you know? Just throw a Leona ultimate out, maybe get a flash for it. I'd say that's worthwhile too.
This stage it seems all about denial, but this could be a bit of a situation if Chippies does get caught out for free. Ayla forcing out the flash, unable to find that stun with his E. Chippies does disengage. Could have spelt disaster if he'd fallen down in the top trade of both himself and Swiper.
Nice little follow-up there though from Order, catching the greed out of the top laner there of the Direwolves to make sure that he has to get himself out to safety, but he pulls the Houdini act and he does do so. Still lots of pressure, lots of damage then goes onto that top lane turret. The wave crashes, nobody's there to collect it. We're really watching ourselves in a very delicate dance of League of Legends where it's the smaller details, the finer details are meaning the greater difference. And it's just been adding up a little bit more from the individual flair and mechanics of Mir to get the big gold lead that they have above all else.
And I think quite honestly, it was to be expected really when it came to this matchup. I didn't see any big blowout coming that too early on. I think we're going to be definitely looking at some major team fights towards the later stages, 20-25 minutes onwards to sort of dictate where this game ends up. Right now looking at really just trying to get those two core items online. Definitely working towards that Storm Razor, Essence Reaver now with half components towards your second.
Very cute there from Hayri. He's not going to be spotted by vision, so he was going to look for a bubble. That's a cute moment, just using the Stealth Ace flash that was about to expire. Order grouped up as 4. Nara's in Mega with teleport, so timing-wise to put some damage on that turret was pretty good. It's not going to get them the whole turret, just a chunk.
Direwolves might look to try and stagnate these rotations because top lane is crashing for free. That's going to be 2 waves that will be missed as a result. Direwolves recognize the situation, so you have to collect it, otherwise there's XP and gold lost. We'll take the second Rift Herald and we'll control this game still very early on.
Oh. Rare has to flash away in mid. Chippy's threatening on that flank, gets a moment of opportunity to leave the bottom lane. Direwolves, they do secure the Herald and they get the flash from Rare.
This is going to be the interesting recall because we're 30 seconds up until that next Drake. Are we going to see the big power spikes? Are we going to see that Trinity Force come online for Chippies?
Swiper trying to threaten. He's very close to Mega, so he could get a 3-proc passive combo on that Hyper and then turn himself into Mega Gnar and lock, say, Shock down if he was looking for the blue buff. I think mid lane is actually a place that you really want to break right now if you were Direwolves, but they're resetting with 3 seconds until the Drake spawns. So there's no real chance for Decoy to be there anytime soon, while Shock has the teleport. So they'll be conceding their objective. No trade.
They're not too fussed about this one, as you can see from their own pings. Look, the towers are what we're after. Top lane, once again, it's been sat at that tier 2 for a very long time. We want to break down mid lane. It's down to half. That's our focus. That Drake, we can sacrifice him.
They could Herald straight away here. I feel like even that was a little bit delayed on should we, but they do pull the trigger eventually. This Herald will just take the turret down with maybe 1 or 2 auto attacks from Vital.
And if they're lucky, they might go for a second tower right now because the recalls have just come out here from Order as a result of taking out that Drake, looking to try and unlock those items. Looking to try and bring some form of pressure as the Baron spawns in a minute.
And that's the type of Herald that they should have been threatening, in my opinion, before that Drake spawned, or as the Drake spawned. You know, that's the trade-off. But it doesn't matter too much because Order do choose to reset after they get the objective.
I think a lot of that stemmed from the fact they had no vision. Maybe a little bit too hesitant to walk out into mid.
Also, just reset timings can be quite awkward here and there. I mean, as it stands, if I was Vital, I'd be desperate to get some brown bags on my feet.
I just noticed that. He's still got the health pot in his inventory, so definitely not going to find much value at this stage when you're level 11.
I just, like, personally, I think that movement speed and boots in particular are like one of the most cost-efficient things in the game.
Absolutely.
And would I rather, right? This is hypothetical for everyone. That was gross, by the way. Would I rather... I can't finish my sentence.
You can't because the Solar Flare is going to come out. A Rift comes on through. He pops Cleanse. It's just not going to be enough because cooldowns are used, members show up, and Direwolf execute.
Yeah, that Cleanse was actually perfect.
It was perfectly timed,
From Rare, not Dre.
What he was?
Ronan, from Ronan. But there was too many stuns there from Direwolf, so they continue to lock him down. Now, my hypothetical is relevant as we watch Vital just limp. He's on crutches, coming over to the Baron. Would you rather have a dagger or boots? Well, the dagger's not doing any damage to Baron now, is it? He's coming.
He is coming.
All right, he's here.
He's relying on his E to make up that movement difference. If you put it in that perspective, the Baron's going to go uncontested. Decoy is the support. He is the vision. He is the man.
Oh, the bubble hits.
Who's looking to try and prevent this one as he pops that shield. He gets comboed into Narnia. He's going to stand strong for a very long time. But he will buy his exit as Direwolves can disengage with Baron and unlock those big power spikes, which we can now start seeing coming online with Trinity Force completed for Chippies and Ginsu's already for Vital. Maybe some boots. Who knows?
Surely the Baron will get him to the boots. He's gone back from base though, with a control ward into the slot. Maybe I'm just insane and boots are out of fashion. Anyway, the Baron does go over to Direwolves. 5,000 gold lead in their hands as well. Doing very well for themselves, all things considered. Even though the pick was nice onto Decoy, they do find themselves a sacrificial Leona, who's going to be grouped with the AD carry all the time anyway, so they'll still have Baron buff in relevant places. It's a consolation, unfortunately, for the side of Order. Nothing.
Fair bit of dueling power on Shock. He does have the Oblivion Orb in his inventory. Does have the Haunting Guys as well. Definitely looking to stick around and fight for a while. As this gold lead starts to break away. 5k now in favor of Direwolves. Baron in their control.
I genuinely think he forgot boots. I'm just going to say it right now. He probably thinks he has them. And now he's at a point where he's like, why have I not got an E-Evolve?
Why can't I move? Many questions.
Stay tuned to the Boots stream.
That's what this game's been turned into. We need Kai back on. Is this part of the strategy, Kai?
The answer is no.
Where are the boots?
I'm not Kai.
Well, he's going to rotate through to mid lane. He's going to inspire the minions there, so bringing everything...
Direwolves are going to rotate to Vital, I hope, because he shouldn't be the one rotating.
Especially when you got a Camille and a Rise. A flash gets burnt very early there.
Yeah.
Rare in a spot of bother. Ada was considering the situation, but decides against it.
Really nice lane assignments from Direwolves, actually. They've put Shock with Chippies. Now, they don't have Teleport, but they do have Rise Ult. There's not a lot of room left as they've flashed forwards.
And Vital's not even there right now. He's running as slow as he can. They're going to try and find this fight. They're going to try and get Shock, who just gets the phase rush. He gets the proc of the rune. He runs away. He takes it Ignite. And he lives to tell the tale.
The Seraph's Embrace shield was huge, and it was enough to keep him alive, but the engage from order was correct. Decoy, Danny dead.
I wasn't even looking at
What
that.
are you up to, buddy?
I was looking at the fact we do have boots online. Big Zerky Greaves.
Oh yeah, that's more important than Decoy being dead.
Oh, it is for
I
me.
agree. No, I'm being serious. That's really important. He's got his Berserker Greaves. That means he will most likely have the E-Evolve as well. This is a fight that'll be a 4v5, but Direwolves, they are looking.
They do actually steal it. He's a monster. Chippy just jumps in there, says hello, and finds kills so far. 2 already. Multiple members have jumped at the pit. Will they re-engage in? Only as low. Harrier's Golden Swiper. He's a big, angry man. And he might live to tell the tale right now. So it's just going to be Chippy's in a situation with Chip. They're just jumping in. They're jumping in and out.
Give him 4. Mir's on a mission. This is one of the biggest Lee Sins that I have seen in the OPL at the moment. 6-0. Gets 4 kills in the Dragon team fight. And remember, that was a 4v5 for the most part. Decoy's just going to respawn, walk down mid lane, and Vital says, here's the lane I prepared earlier. He also steals the Drake.
Chippy's the one to steal it.
Chippies takes it away. And Rez dead. He has no flash. He's stuck in the pit. And at this point, they are being just dogpiled on by Order's AoE team comp. Swiper hits the Mega Nut pretty late, honestly, and only really hits one person. Mir flashes the wall. It has no energy. So he's playing the waiting game. He wants to help your Chippies. He really does, but he couldn't do anything about it. And then, of course, just follows that one through with the 4th kill. Direwolves, they pull an Order from the first game of the day on Order.
If that isn't some time-traveling Inception concept, then I don't know what is, but it does mean they are not fretted no more by a soul point situation. Now 2 apiece. Cloud Drakes will be acquired. Extra cooldown reduction on those ultimates. Gonna find those engagements just that much easier, if you will.
So this is a good point in the game to take a summoner spell check, Skimmy, given that there was a big team fight that just happened. And really there's not a whole lot available on the map to be taken. So you play around picks and Decoy. I mean, what do you say at this point?
He's going to flash out. Is he going to live? The Solar Flare, the Aphelios? Ooh.
I mean, what do you say at this point for the man that just keeps dying?
He sat in that brush warded.
The first one I understand, because it was after the Baron on the disengage, someone had to cop that bubble, and it just happened to be Decoy. Second one, he was in Narnia, taking a journey by himself. I think it might have been late on the reset, perhaps. Either way, he was caught. That third one, just sitting in a bush. Just sitting in a bush.
Whilst Order was sitting in another bush, saying thank you very much.
Hadn't cleared the bush, but he was sitting in it. And so he deservedly gets punished there by Order. Once again, using that Zoe. It has been proven, even in that first game of the day, Harry knows exactly what he's doing on the pick.
Yeah.
Very much in command of the champion. And now Order, knowing that it's a 4v5, will continue to pressure and push. Note that again, though, no flashes on anyone from the side of Order.
Shock, the single survivor in the Summoner War, if you will. He's got a blue buff too, so a fair bit of cooldown reduction. Maybe able to emit a fair bit of damage as the Solar Flare starts things off with, but it's going to get negated. But it is all pile on in! Vital says hello! The Mega Node to 4! It's set 2.0! Only will find Decoy again, but it's a double kill onto Vital's account! And they are chasing members. Double kills for the boys.
That was insane. If that was an even team fight, you really feel that for Swiper. But Rare again, no flash. The stopwatch actually just buys time for Ayla to come in and be kicked into him as Direwolves. They are just going to try and end the game right here and right now. Guardian Angel there. They're going to take this turret and that'll be game.
That really is going to be game. Nexus turrets fall on down. One team fight decides it. The Nexus will fall on down. I said it'd be a coin flip, but boy, by the time we hit some of these fights, Direwolves showcased. They are the team to keep your eye on.
And Mir showcases his mastery on Lee Sin and just tears through Order. Above all else, that's the takeaway for me.
big showing coming out of the jungler of the Dire Wolves. Good moments all around here and there. Vital did forget his boots for a little while, so he might slowly walk his way back to the Dire Wolves camp after this one. But they get the W in moments when perhaps they shouldn't have, with very good team fighting. Once again in a 4v5 against Order, who did that earlier.
Has to hurt though as Swipe, and knowing that you get such a monumental stun onto multiple members and unable to really follow and capitalize on that. At that stage, Direwolves just too far ahead with the items, the gold, the economy in their favor, and able to execute on that front. So Order, once again, not going to find that clean 2-0. They are going to go 1-on-1.
And I may not be correct in terms of timing. I think this is the first time that the passing of the Titan shirt between the weebs in top lane has happened in, I think, 2 years.
I have no idea. That's something between you guys on the couch, and that's where we're going to go to. Nick Boy.
The power of the wolf call.
Ow! Ow, 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 ow!
It was loud and it worked.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what a brilliant early game from Direwolves, especially their jungler. I think that's one of those performances where, as Elise, when you've done a full side clear and then got flash off mid lane, especially if they're not running cleanse, if you get red buff in range matchup, you just walk into lane and start auto-wing Rise, and he kind of has to really respect hard. So I think losing red buff and the experience gave Miru a huge lead and kind of put Only's game plan really far behind. So you got to credit Direwolves because that's a tempo sync, like ganking mid. You probably shouldn't do it as Elise. That's why it probably worked. And then it was really heavily punished by Miru. You're not Decoy.
Is Decoy avoiding me?
He feels sick. So
that's fine.
yeah.
That's fine. We wish him well. How are you feeling?
Pretty good after that win. We practiced a lot of stuff during the week and we executed it really well on stage. So I'm really happy about that.
And what was the plan up against Order? Because Order, as we've spoken about, hot and cold, never know what you're going to get.
I'd say we didn't have a plan specifically like against Order. It was more that during the week, like in the past, we had like really good like 8 to 15 minutes of the game, but our before 8 minutes was kind of just like, just go even and farm or whatever. So during the week, we really tried to just do like really crazy stuff in the first like 8 minutes, like, test our limits and stuff to try to see how much we could do in the early game. And yeah, I think we did quite a lot this game in the early game and yeah, put us in a really good spot.
And talk to me about kind of you guys playing 1-3-1 in what is like largely considered a team fight meta, right? How are you guys finding that? And is that just player preferences, or do you think there's something here that maybe is meta breaking in those?
I don't think 1-3-1 is the superior composition, but I think in games like this where the enemy doesn't really have clear engage, like they can get stuff like an Alistair flank, but if you have like your sides pushing, it's really hard for them to get vision. So I think it was just kind of like the way they drafted put us in a spot where we could just kind of 1-3-1 and not get punished for it. And
you have one of the deepest champion pools out of the mid laners, like in the OPL, right? You play everything from the tanks and the Urgots and the weird things like Mordekaisers, all the way through to traditional mages really well, like Raz and Cassiopeia. You must be enjoying this meta. And then follow-up question, the next patch is about to come out, and my sneaking suspicion is bruisers are going to be in the mid lane. Like, how do you think the current state of League of Legends suits Shock at the moment?
I actually think that the meta is a bit weird at the moment. I'd say some of my picks that I would like to play aren't that great because I feel like scaling it's risky. Like if you get a good counter matchup, you can still go with the scaling option, but blind picking something scaling, like I used to just, do blind pick Urgot, which is not that strong early game, but really comes into its own in the mid game, I think is not as good anymore. But it has opened up a lot of other picks. Like I've played a lot of like mid lane Nocturne and solo queue. It's like really strong in the early game.
Yeah, no, we knew about that one.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, thank you very much, Shock. Congratulations on the win. We'll see you back here very shortly, I have no doubt, and we'll be back with you guys after this break with a special guest.
Ayla! Yeah, Ayla just says hello! Flashes into the chickens! He can't because the solar flare is going to come out. A rift comes on through. He pops cleanse. It's just not going to be enough. They do actually steal it. He's a monster. Chippy just jumps in there, says hello, and finds kills so far. 2 already. Multiple members have jumped at the pit. Will they re-engage in? Only is low. Harrier's gold and Swipe it. He's a big, angry man. And he might live to tell the tale right now. So it's just going to be Chippy's in a situation where they're just jumping in. They're jumping in and out.
Give him 4. Mir's on a mission.
Solar Flare starts things off, but it's going to get negated, but they just all pile on in.
Vital says hello. The Mega Null to 4. It's set 2.0. Only will find Decoy again, but it's a double kill onto Vital's account. And they are chasing members. Double kills for the boys. That really is going to be game. Nexus turrets fall on down. One team fight decides it. The Nexus will fall on down. I said it'd be a coin flip, but boy, by the time we hit some of these fights, Direwolves showcased. They are the team to keep your eye on.
Introducing Macca's Mini Games. Play today and win on the My Macca's app.
Woo! Winning!
Every play wins one of your Macca's faves.